I'm going to ask the cloud to take you to the initial experience. The experience where your contact with the extraterrestrials, or the beings from outside of Earth, began. And as it brings you there, begin to drift down to where you were at that initial point of contact. When you reach the ground, you will see where you are, and just tell me what you're seeing or what you're aware of.
I'm seeing like this golden cube, like a big golden cube in the sky, kind of on the beach again. And I don't know what to make of this golden cube.
How big is it?
Oh, as big as a city, maybe. Maybe smaller than a city. Big as a small town.
And what is happening with that golden cube? Are there any lights?
It's
anything?
floating in the sky, and it's like it's hollow, and it's very golden.
Is it shiny?
Yeah, not too much so, but yeah.
And where are you? What's happening around you?
I'm kind of on that beach where we started with, but I'm looking up at the sky at this golden cube.
And are you there alone?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any sense or intuition about what that golden cube is? And how do you feel about it? Do you feel comfortable?
It's, I don't quite know what to make of it. It's kind of primal. It's almost like an intelligence or something.
Are you able to communicate with it?
Yeah, it's almost like I've been drawn into it.
In your mind or physically?
Physically, I got sucked into it. It's dark inside now. Kind of dark.
So you're inside the cube now?
Yeah.
And how did you get there?
I just sort of, when you said try and communicate with it, it kind of went, sucked me in there.
Okay. And so become aware now of what is around you.
Yeah, it's kind of dark, and there's like fuzzy points sticking out inside of it. It's, I almost feel like an embryo or something.
Okay.
Like nerve endings or something.
And what is the feeling that you have now? How you feel about being there?
This is some kind of a strange environment, very strange. These things, these points are kind of alive.
So I'd like you to set out an intention to get a clearer communication from this being, entity, whatever this golden cube is, or whatever is inside of it.
It's almost a little scary, and I'm kind of getting like a Om sort of round. It's a very primal something.
Primal feeling or sound?
Yeah, primal place of some sort.
Like a creation of some sort?
Yeah, maybe. I'm almost getting the feeling like you've gone too far, you shouldn't be exploring this.
Okay. Is that a feeling that comes from you or from outside of you?
It probably is from me, although there is a little caution on the outside.
And where's that caution coming from?
It's part of the nature of the place. It's like people don't normally come here.
So it is an honor that you're allowed to enter and explore. And let's set the intention that we will be very cautious and respectful, and that you will have access to the information that is right for you to know, and that you will be kept safe. And as you continue to move through that space, describe to me what you're seeing around you.
It's very dark, but I'm getting like a bit of a smile from some kind of entity, a kind of presence there.
Mm-hmm. And what is your sense or feeling about that entity? Is it benevolent? Is it welcoming?
Yeah, actually it used the word welcome.
Wonderful. So it is right for you to be there at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if you can find out from this entity more information about this place. What is it and what is happening there?
I've been here once before. It's almost like a very complex overview of the entire universe, of all of reality, or something like a crystalline path. It's almost godlike or something. I'm seeing the structure of everything.
And what was the last time when you were there?
It was in a regression, but this is a little different, a little more limited from the perspective of this presence.
And become more aware of what this presence is. Is it a consciousness, a being? Does it have corporeal form?
It's like a consciousness, like a really high soul of some sort. He doesn't know everything, but he knows a lot of things.
What is your connection with that entity, or that soul, that energy?
It's kind of timeless. It's more like being. It's not like working towards something. It's like being part of that.
And so what is the nature of your relationship?
It's almost like nothing needs to be done. It's all done. It's just being. You don't need to struggle or anything. It's all been...
What is the function of this consciousness in that place? What is that place for?
This consciousness is like representative of a large part of the universe, and I'm part of it. It's just almost like being aware that I'm part of it is good enough. That's it. That's all that needs to be done. As I become aware of that, that becomes part of my existence and affects everything around me. It percolates out, like it's a different way of looking at life somehow.
And is this meeting right now, is that to remind you of your part in this, of who you are?
Yeah, it sort of shows me who I am, yeah.
And as you become more and more aware of your true essence and your role in this, tell me about who you understand yourself to be. How does that being see you? How do you see yourself now?
Pretty timeless. Like this reality is, I can have an effect there, but it's just a minor part of existence.
Mm-hmm. You're talking about the physical realities of
Yes.
the minor part.
It's almost delicious to stay. It's hard to maintain contact, but it's kind of a delicious view of reality.
The physical part?
No, just being timeless and part of this consciousness, and that this earth world is just a small thing.
And what else are you becoming aware of in terms of who you are as a timeless being?
You don't need to do anything, really. Just do things, but don't be all wrapped up in them.
And what is your relationship with this being that's in this golden cube?
I'm part of it. I'm looking around to see if there's anybody else there, and no, it's just me and this being, or this consciousness.
And so enter into a conversation if that's an appropriate way to describe it with that being, with that consciousness. And ask if there's a message that it wants to give you to help you become even more aware of your true essence.
It's like tasting nirvana or something. It's like none of this physical reality really is of great consequence. It has some importance, but this is like a taste of what it's really like, what reality is really like. Like it's maybe my higher self or something. And it's a very strange but nice taste. It's just timeless and there. Very palatable, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so I wonder if you can ask for a greater understanding of what is actually happening in the golden cube. You said that it's a complex overview, kind of overall reality, the crystalline path. Can you explain that a little bit?
This golden cube is kind of like a symbolic or representative, like a connection to this consciousness. Like chanting Om would connect you more. Seeing this cube is kind of does the same thing. It's something to visualize and helps connect.
So it helps you connect to your higher self?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And is that something that John's conscious mind can visualize in the future?
Uh-huh.
So is the invitation then for you to stay in closer contact with this consciousness on a regular basis?
Yeah, it's a gift. It's like, here you go, you can remember this and use it like a connection.
Mm-hmm. So is there anything else that is important for you to understand about what you're actually seeing in the golden cube?
I'm trying to relate it to the aliens, and it seems like the aliens are aware of this thing too, that this says something about what they perceive. They can see things like this or somehow on this level.
So if this is a symbolic representation of connection or creation, is it the same for all soul entities? Or is it similar?
It might be similar.
Is it a multidimensional representation?
It's hard to put into words, but it's almost like a religious symbol or something that, yeah, if you...
So it evokes a certain...
Yeah.
Does it evoke an understanding or a feeling or an intuition or a state?
It's like a doorway that allows you to connect up to that higher self, like ringing a bell or something, but seeing this cube or connecting with it somehow.
So it's like a portal.
Yeah.
And is it the seeing the cube from the outside or actually envisioning it from the inside?
It hangs in the air, like not everybody can see it. But I've been shown it so I can see it now, in my mind's eye.
Mm-hmm. I imagine it's multidimensional, and that's why not everybody can see it.
Yeah, maybe. And I don't know, it's sort of reminding me of that thing I saw over the street that not everybody could see, that this somehow has a connection.
So let's explore that. I wonder if you can ask that consciousness, and I will assume it's your higher consciousness, to help you understand the connection and the interactions you have had with what we call on Earth ETs. And you may become more aware of the sort of more global connection you have in your life, or the specific incidents that you've had. What is the relationship that you have with beings from other realities, other dimensions, other planets?
I've shuffled back and forth in previous lifetimes with them.
Mm-hmm. Have you had lives in their worlds?
I am getting the impression, yes, but I don't really quite see them too well.
Okay. And so you're familiar with both worlds now?
Yeah, we're part of this sort of consciousness, of that timeless consciousness, and that golden cube connects us.
Can you describe the other world in which you have had lives? Is it a planet?
Oh, yeah. And maybe crafts. You could spend an entire lifetime on one of the crafts. I think I may have.
So what did the crafts do? Did they travel, or it was a place to live?
Both. They traveled, and you could spend a life. They were huge things, almost like a big mall or something.
And why was the choice made to live on a craft versus on a planet? Was there a need for that, or just a desire for that?
Both, I think. In order to reach their desires, you needed to do this, to be on a craft. I just see us walking around this big, like, white mall, myself and other beings.
Can you describe what you look like?
Ooh, yeah, it's kind of nasty, a little bit reptilian, insectoid, amalgamation of both, but a basic kind of humanoid shape. Yeah, not something I'd be pleased with today, but very conscious.
So in that experience, did you have an individual soul?
Yeah, as much as I do now.
Mm-hmm. And do you know the name of the planet, or was it in this galaxy?
No, I'm getting that it was in Andromeda.
Okay. And tell me more about that life. What were your aspirations? What were your interests? What was your life like?
It's quite a bit different culture. Trying to relate it to, like, it's hard to relate to Earth-like existence. It's more like I pursued things, and that was what you did there. You pursued things. You connected with others. And you pursued some sort of task or goal or something. It wasn't like schools or periods in your life. I don't know. You did things as a group or something.
So tell me more about that. What task did you pursue?
I guess I found the technical things to be interesting. Some tech stuff. Electrical or something technical.
And so you worked as part of a group?
Yeah, it's hard to describe as a group. It's more like as you pursued whatever. People came and went.
So you did some of the tasks on your own, but as part of a more collective?
And as you needed somebody, or somebody was doing somewhat the same thing, they came into your life for a while and you interacted with them, and it's just like ideas bounced around between these people. It was a bit of a hive, and people came in and out of your life as you pursued this particular thing that you were pursuing.
And did you find satisfaction in what you were doing? Did you feel like you had an interest in what you were doing?
Yeah.
So it wasn't more of a mechanical assignment, it was something that you had passion for?
No, you just followed what naturally came to you, and the society supported it.
Who chose what you would do? Did you decide what you wanted to do, or did somebody identify what your skill or talent might be?
No, it's just what you were born with.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe what your soul path was or something.
Mm-hmm. And so you did some technical things. What types of projects? Can you give me some examples? What did you work on?
it does seem like some kind of crystalline sort of things were of interest. It was almost mathematical or geometrical or something.
And what was their ultimate purpose or application?
You could incorporate it into the technology that was there, the world that you lived in. You made an improvement to something.
Were you concerned about the well-being of other members of your community? When you're talking about improvements, was it done to improve the life of others?
Yeah, somehow the running of the mechanical things in that world.
Mm-hmm. And so can you tell me more about that world? Was there communal living, or did you separate into something akin to a family group? Did everybody live separately?
It wasn't emotional as emotional as this world is.
Mm-hmm.
It was more cerebral, more task-oriented. Trying to see like how long you lived or something. It just seemed like you were born and you knew your mission and you followed it and you bounced around, connecting with other beings as you worked on your individual idea and added to the society. And I don't really see an end point in that life. It just seemed like, well, maybe you became part of it or something at the end, like part of the structure.
And how were you born? Was a female of the species that gave birth?
There might have been. It wasn't quite as family-oriented, though. More like an egg in a pot or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And so when you were born, were you then raised by the community?
Yeah, everybody knew how to help you along. You didn't really have a long maturation period. You kind of were born ready to go, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. So there was an innate knowing what you should be doing and how.
Yeah, it was really like a hive thing, like a bee or something.
Mm-hmm. So if you can visualize or imagine a mature adult being, can you describe what it looks like?
Yeah, it was kind of like an insect-looking thing.
Like, did it have multiple legs or arms?
Yeah, like 2 legs, 2 arms, but a weird face and head.
So what did the face look like?
It wasn't a discernible features like ours. It was more like a scramble of features. It wasn't pleasant, at least not from my perspective. Kind of nasty looking, but not scary.
I'm assuming that you had to mate to lay the eggs. Did partners have to attract each other somehow?
Yeah, it was for short periods of time, though. Then you went back to your task or something, whatever it was.
So what were some of the mating strategies, I guess, to attract the mate?
I think you just knew that when somebody came across your path, you just knew it, and I don't know how the exchange or whatever took place, and then you continued along your path.
So you didn't form individual families where you then raised your offsprings?
No.
Okay.
There was more communal.
And were you male or female?
Male, I think, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And are you aware of the differences in how males and females looked?
Pretty much the same. They may have dressed a little differently.
So they wore clothes?
Something like they had sort of jacket-like things.
Can you tell me about the environment where you lived? Like what the temperature was like? If you had vegetation?
I keep seeing the inside of this white mall. I'm kind of maybe like trapped in there. I don't really see much of another environment. It's this white area that we live in.
And so become aware or ask for clarification, maybe from the consciousness back at the golden cube, about why you were on that ship or transport where you appear to have lived. Was that you had to be removed from the planet?
Somehow that wasn't a pleasant life. The bigger consciousness is sort of saying that was one life.
On this ship?
Yeah.
And that's the one that was not pleasant?
Well, it was okay, but it wasn't. It was like a hive type mentality. Not like here where you are quite an individual. It was more of a hive. You had a common purpose there.
Right. But what was the reason that you were on that ship versus in some more natural environment?
I don't know. That's where we were.
Okay. And when you were there, so you worked on developing things that would contribute to improving that environment, the technical things.
Yes.
Can you think of anything specific that you worked on or created?
Chip-like things. They were like chips or something. But they're having to do with crystalline structures, almost like electronic things or something. I enjoyed that pursuit. I mean, I felt an interest in that pursuit.
Okay. And now, can you become aware of the end of that experience? Perhaps the end of that life, or the end of somehow the time of the transition to the next experience?
Yeah, I'm having trouble seeing the end of that. It's not like it comes to a death. It's almost like you fade away or something.
So become aware of other beings around you that are going through that transition. Were you part of that? Did you ever observe it? How was it treated within your culture?
I'm seeing almost like a compost heap or something. It's like you became part of this compost heap.
Like you gave your body to it?
Yeah. After that, it served some kind of purpose. I don't know. Like mulch or something.
Mm-hmm. And as your consciousness leaves that place, I wonder if you can now become aware of any other experience you had as that being, as that civilization.
Yeah, there's something about maybe another lifetime there, but there was a war or something akin to war. That didn't last too long, that lifetime. I'm seeing these like really bright white lines, like zip zip, and that was some kind of weaponry that wasn't a war like we have wars. It was some kind of energy thing going on. And I was taken out quickly. My life was cut off early. But it was some kind of, like maybe the society took on a different purpose versus what the original purpose was. Hard to describe. It was like changing of the zeitgeist.
So what was the original purpose?
Was that hive-like thing. That was the original. And then this other culture thing came in and shot these bright white lines, and I was cut off, and then eventually it changed the purpose or incorporated or changed the culture of this society.
So when this other culture came in, was it from the outside? Was it somebody else that invaded?
Yeah, it seemed like a neighboring neighborhood or something like that that had a different idea.
But was it the same civilization, the same
Same
people?
creatures, yeah. Like another country of human beings, but with different ideas. Kind of like communism versus capitalism or something. It was a takeover of a culture.
And become aware of what their idea of life was, of purpose. What did they want to
Oh,
have?
well, I was killed, so I was battling against that new idea, trying to maintain the old traditional
What changes did they wish to make?
I'm seeing these white zigzaggy lines, and somehow they are conveying something, but I can't. No words to... Maybe more of a individualism, if anything.
So they wanted to bring more individualism?
I think so, yeah, rather than a hive. So if that's higher level or going sideways, I don't know.
So as you're watching in your mind's eye those lines and those zigzags, they will begin to generate a greater clarity, greater understanding of the message. It's almost like a curtain that's being lifted, something that's scrambled. The sounds become more clear, more coherent. And so the understanding and the knowing will begin to dawn on you and begin to reveal itself to you. So as you continue to just see that, you will begin to enter deeper and deeper into the mind of the being that you were, so that you begin to understand what is happening and what the messages mean, and begin to convert it into the words and the language that you have at your disposal right now.
I think it was to get closer to that big consciousness that saw things in a more timeless overall view rather than a narrow personal bent hive mentality that you followed your bent to help out the group. But it was more taking a bigger timeless view and seeing yourself as, it's hard to put into words.
So was it searching for a closer connection to its creator?
Yes.
So these were souls that were becoming aware of their divine connection,
yeah,
and searching for it.
And they elevated that previous society to be at a higher level. It involved more individualism, but also more awareness of this higher consciousness, this higher being. They got lifted up, I think.
So as they came in first, did they come in as warriors, or how?
No, it wasn't like a war, more like a change of philosophy involving some kind of warlike things. These zigzags, these zigzaggy white lines were about as violent as it got, but it really wasn't violence, more like light displays or something. But somehow I was cut down in the middle of fighting it. So yeah, it did involve death, but it wasn't like...
So they didn't intend to kill.
Maybe like if you hung on to the past thing, you died with it or something. And I hung on, I was defending the past culture, and so I died with it. Kind of like a whole hive of bees dying, and the new hive came in or something.
And so allow yourself to see the future of that civilization as it moves further in time. And become aware if you returned to have another lifetime in that civilization after it has gone through the change.
Now it's more conversant, and people are walking around and not being so insect-like, maybe being a little bit more human-like and talking to one another. It looks a little more Roman or something, rather than hive-like.
What do you mean, Roman?
Like people walking around in robes and saying good morning and things like that.
Now, do they still look insect-like?
No, they look more human. The appearance has changed as well.
How do you know that it's the same society, the same civilization?
The bodies are kind of the same. They have that insect sort of like body, but their faces are more human. Which is very bizarre. It's all very bizarre.
And do you have another lifetime there?
Yeah, in this new society.
And are you a male or a female in that society?
It looks like I'm male, maybe. I'm not really quite seeing myself.
Okay. Well, you'll continue to become more aware of it as more information comes in. You'll just be clearer and clearer. And so in this new society, do people live in family units, or is it still very communal, hive-like?
It's maybe a little more family-like. There seems to be individual dwellings where family-like groups are living.
And do you have a family of your own?
Yeah, it's sort of like a group of maybe a half dozen people or so, like cousins or something like that.
Do you have a mate?
Yeah, she's sort of a little bit smaller, but I see her glowing like I can see her spirit or something.
And how do you feel or relate to each other, I suppose? Do you have romantic feelings? Do you experience love for her?
It's closer than in a previous society, but not like human yet. Sort of like maybe a halfway. You see each other's essence and you see each other's souls.
You care for each other?
Yeah, but it's more cerebral than it is emotional or physical.
Mm-hmm. And do you have children?
I'm not seeing that. We're together, but I'm not seeing like... There's other family members. I don't know where they came from, but they're like cousins or something. I don't know, maybe we all hatched out of the same pot or something.
And what do you do in this lifetime? What's your passion? What's your interest? Do you still focus on a task?
It's more like philosophy or something now.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah, ideas and things. Not technical, more writing and thinking.
Now, is that different from the previous civilizations where it was very cerebral and task-oriented? Did they have writers and thinkers and philosophers?
No, it was somehow just communicated to like a group mind. This other one is more human-like. You might write things down. You might write a book or something. You might argue philosophically.
And so what do you do, throughout your day? Do you actually write books? Do you publish books?
You pursue your interest, but it's kind of like the previous society, but now it's more conversational and discussing things with people, interacting, exchanging ideas. It wasn't like being single-minded in your task. You could veer off into different topics.
So people can have individual
Yeah.
thoughts on the topic.
And more freedom to change your pursuit a little bit.
And so as a thinker and philosopher, do you teach or do you lead discussions?
It's more like discussions and share some distillations, but learn from others too.
Mm-hmm. And what about your wife, or your mate, I should say?
She's carrying like a bright light inside of her. I'm not sure what she's doing, but she's got this bright white, very silvery, almost like essence, and she shares that with other people, I think.
So become more aware of that and allow the information to translate into the words and language that you can use today. Does she have a specific purpose? What is the light that she's carrying?
I talk about things. She's like the keeper of the flame or something, or keeper of the energy, and she shares that energy. She works on more of an energetic level, and while I discourse with others, she does more like sharing that energy. She's a energetic sharer. I'm more of a cerebral sharer. And that's like north and south a little bit of, but you're on the same magnet.
Mm-hmm. So you complete the same task. You're part of the same.
But she's doing it through like that energy way, and I'm doing it more by talking and thinking about stuff.
And when she transmits that energy, is she doing that to raise other beings' awareness? help them return to their divine essence, or to increase the frequency of energy on where you live?
Oh, it's more like the lifeblood of the community. That kind of energy keeps the community energized or something. We need that. I'm not seeing a large, huge community. I'm just seeing a small grouping, like maybe we're part of a large crowd, but I'm seeing just a small portion of it.
So she serves as the portal of sort of like life energy for the
community. Yeah.
And is that considered to be a very honorable position?
Yes, it's essential. She's almost like the queen bee versus I'm just a drone.
Mm-hmm.
It's very essential what she's doing.
Right. And did you choose each other when you chose to be mates, or were you kind of assigned to each other? Was it your personal choice?
I almost see it like the magnet, where we're both parts of the same soul or something, and different expressions of it. She's the light expression, and I'm more the consciousness side of it. Like we were together before that lifetime.
So you were more like soulmates. You had to connect together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder if you can now allow those images to fade and just move forward to any other lifetime that you had in that civilization that is significant for you to explore today to understand your connection to your present life.
I'm trying to connect with something that connects with Earth here, and
let's go to the last experience in that particular world, the last experience before you came to Earth.
I had a vision once of being on the Pleiades and seeing these stalks of wheat that had individual consciousnesses in them, and I'm seeing myself there now again. They're like lots of consciousnesses all packed into one whole planetary surface. It was very compact and not very pleasant, but it was a way to exist.
And you're on what planet?
Some planet in the Pleiades. It was a confining but tolerable existence. In order for the planet to accommodate all the consciousnesses that wanted to be there, every consciousness was allowed one cell within the wheat plant. So you could have millions of consciousnesses in one stalk of wheat. And these wheat plants covered the entire planet, so you had gazillions of consciousnesses. But it was very confining. I spent an existence there.
And why were consciousnesses within those stalks?
So they could exist, not have to wait for a corporal body of some sort. They could have an existence. Not a real satisfying one, but it was an existence.
And how long do you spend in that state?
Oh, at least a couple of years, our time.
And while you're in that, what happens to you?
You have more of a psychic existence than you have a real physical existence. You can exchange ideas and thoughts, but there's no real movement because you're confined to a cell.
And so move yourself past that existence towards the next expression where you find yourself perhaps in a physical body.
That would be here, this body.
And so what I want you to do now is to just allow your consciousness to get a more global understanding of your whole soul experience. And perhaps see yourself back in that golden cube with the other being that is your guide and your higher understanding. So you can begin to see the connection between the previous experiences you had and the different civilizations that you've lived in your life on Earth. And become aware of any decisions, contracts perhaps, agreements that were made that would help you understand the connection you have today with the extraterrestrials as far as the Earth is concerned. and the work that you do and your interests in it, and how you intend to carry it out, or how you intended to carry it out when you made those agreements. Just allow that information to flow into your consciousness, organize itself, arrange itself into coherent thought, so that it begins to make sense as an aha moment.
Boy, I'm really getting I need to write my book. I've been feeling pressured to write. It's not for personal reasons, it's to disseminate some of the ideas, not just keep it in my head, to help that percolate into society, to help people see maybe a connection to this timeless higher self.
So, the book about...
I don't know, a book about my own experiences and maybe some of the other people's experiences I've run into, just to share and disseminate and let it flow. Let that stuff from that higher consciousness flow into this society. And I'm to be doing that and not worry about anything personal or how people are going to take it, just do it.
And is your experience as a philosopher and writer, are those skills going to come to the surface to support you in doing that?
Yeah.
So at this moment, I'd like to just reinforce you tapping into those skills, because at this level, you are one and the same. You are the person who has those skills. You are the person who lived that life. And so I want you to, on a subconscious and conscious level, to become more and more aware of those skills and know that they are part of your experience, they are part of your being, they're part of your psyche, and you are taking them with you now. They will become more and more integrated into your conscious thinking and reasoning and memory. And so become more aware of the connection between these different civilizations. You said that the golden cube is the complex overview of reality. So is your goal to then, through the book maybe, to help people understand that these different civilizations are still all interconnected and are all part of the same structure, divine reality?
And to disseminate more of the spiritual nature of this life. Mm-hmm. And I think the visitations by these aliens were more like to nudge me toward that, to wake me up, to remind me of this. It wasn't like some big philosophical or startling nature that they came and visited. It's that, hey, wake up, buddy, don't forget about your purpose here. That kind of a thing. It was to remind me of the original purpose in being here.
So, state that original purpose again.
To disseminate information to the rest of humanity, help the rest of humanity along a little bit with what things I've learned and can maybe be helpful with. And just let it flow through me. I'm not trying to make a name for myself, but just let it flow through. Let my pen hit the paper.
Would it be helpful if you engage in that project to have other sessions similar to this that can help you connect with those memories, connect with that reality?
It might be. I don't know.
Or is it just through meditation and just personal exercise? Just become aware of...
I think connecting with that golden cube and that consciousness is helpful.
Okay. So you've gone through this transformation, civilization you were describing, when one group of beings came and integrated the other group, where you were fighting for the old ways. But the new group brought that greater awareness of their spiritual connection.
Yeah.
So now you want to help bring the same greater awareness.
You're right, yeah. It's sort of the same thing. I hadn't thought of it that way, but you're right.
And thinking back of those zigzag lights, white lights that were bringing the messages, would it be helpful for you to connect with that also and to become more aware of what those messages were?
Yeah, I was puzzled by them. I'm not sure what they were about.
Okay. And just, if that information is important, let's set the intention that it will continue to come to you and become available to you in various ways, through dreams perhaps, through meditation, through intuition. You will begin to just pick up more and more of that information and decipher it as the time is appropriate. And so let's look at the experiences that you've had in this lifetime, the experiences that you say were simply to remind you of your purpose. Just become aware of how many times perhaps you had those nudges that reminded you. The ones that you might have had a conscious memory of or not, or conscious awareness of or not. Were there multiple contacts?
Well, there was that one where I got sucked out of the car, and then after that it's kind of like the beehive thing where you bounce from person to person, interacted with them. It's sort of the same here on this planet for me now. I run into these amazingly interesting people, and we bounce and connect ideas, and I have interesting experiences. But I'm not alone in this. There's other people that are having interesting experiences too. But many people are not. And I feel like I should be sharing my stories with other people and my information that I have been able to pull together.
So I'd like you to focus now on the time when you were taken out of the car and into what appeared to be a spaceship. And just see yourself standing aboard that spaceship and become aware why you are there. What is the purpose of bringing you there?
I think it was to remind me of my mission here on this planet. They wanted to say, okay, you're a mature adult now, let's follow this path.
So I'd like you to just look around and see the people or the beings that you see around you.
Well, I see that there's one being, and he's kind of like a brotherly type, but he looks very alien, but he's sort of a friend. And then there's two off to my right, and they're like workers there that are doing something. But the one there that's in front of me, he's like an old friend.
Describe to me what they look like.
Well, they have a bit of an insect-looking face, but big eyes, big black eyes, like wrap around a little bit. A little more insecty looking than when I first saw him. But he's got like a jacket, like a uniform on. A little shorter than me, but we're kind of buds somehow. Like I'm friends with this person.
Become aware of how you know each other.
I'm getting like previous lifetimes. There's a connection, there's a deep connection, like we're buds.
Mm-hmm. And the beings that you're seeing, are they what we would call now grays?
Yeah, the ones to my right are. The one in front of me, he's not quite a gray. He's almost like a mix between a gray and an insectoid or something.
And so is he a descendant of the race that you were part of before?
Maybe, but it's a long time since that race. He's more contemporary.
Can you tell the difference between the grays and between your friend that's standing in front of you?
Yeah, the grays they're like shorter, much shorter. They're like 3 feet high. This guy here is about 5 feet. Not as tall as me, but it's almost like we could slap our hands on each other's shoulders and saying, "How you doing, buddy?"
Are there other differences?
Yeah, he doesn't have like skin like I do. It's more like a scaly surface. But I'm detecting a real smile on his face, like however a smile is conveyed. There's like a sparkle in his eye, like, "Hey, bud." Even though he looks it's not human skin at all. It's more scaly. But we're friends. It's surprising.
So there is a spark of recognition.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can you pinpoint, though, the difference between the grays and this being?
Yeah, the Greys they're more like mechanical servants or something, just there doing a job. And this guy in front of me, he's more like the personality. He's a regular person.
So would you say that he has a soul, an individual soul?
Yeah, it's like seeing an old friend that you haven't seen for years and you run across and, hey, there you are, that kind of thing.
So is he the one who brought you there, or?
Yeah, he's like a captain on the ship, or has got some kind of position there, an ability to do that, and it's kind of like, okay, I'm reminding you, you've got a mission this time, don't forget about it.
So other than this message, is there anything else that he wants to convey to you? Or anything else that you have to do there?
I think if I start to pursue that particular task, things will unfold as I do that. And that he'll be there to help. He's saying that. So
as you begin to pursue your purpose...
He'll be there to help, yeah.
Okay.
Things will unfold. That's what I'm getting.
Good. And how will he be available to you? Will he come in physical form, make contact with you, or is it going to be more through consciousness?
I'm getting that it could be either, depending on what I need. He's like a bud. He's there by my side to help.
Good. So as you receive that message and you're still on board of that ship, is there anything else that happens after that?
I think I put my arm around his shoulder, he puts his arm around my shoulder, we kind of like, okay, good to see you again, or something like that.
And why are the Greys there?
I got in my first session that they drilled some kind of thing in my head. They were like they're doing a strictly medical procedure or psychic procedure or something. I think they activated old psychic ability in me. Turn the crank up, turn the volume up on that.
And so just become aware now of anything that happens next. You can observe what they do. You can just follow them.
Yeah, they've implanted something in my head or tweaked something in my head or something. In the right side of my head. They're standing on the right side and they're doing something to that. My buddy's patting my head, kind of like brushing my hair back, saying, don't worry, it's okay.
Do you feel any physical sensations as they do that?
No, not really. Slight, maybe just a slight touch on the side of my head, but it's quite painless, whatever they're doing.
And just become aware exactly of what it's intended to do for you.
Something to do with like my pineal or pituitary glands. They did something with it to accentuate things.
And all of that to help you follow your purpose in this life.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now move forward in time to the end of that procedure. And as you wrap up your visit, I wonder if you can notice something new, a new detail, something that you had not paid attention to before. Perhaps you can ask your friend to point something out to you that you did not see before, to give you a clear indication that you indeed are on board of that ship.
I'm seeing like a green, crystalline sort of shape, surface or something. It's got kind of cuneiform writing on it, like fractal pieces. Sort of like they're layered, kind of. I'm getting this image in my head. I'm not seeing it so much on the ship as it's being...
That's okay. He can communicate to you that way as well. And help him, ask him to help you understand what it is.
He's saying this is our writing or something. It's a funny sort of writing. It's not like on pages. It's almost like broken up crystals or something, and they're interlocked a little bit. The letters are, but they're kind of like cuneiform.
Now, as you're seeing them in your mind, are you able to write them down or draw them?
I could attempt to draw them, though I'm sure I'd be kind of like somebody trying to copy our alphabet and not knowing what it means. It'd be kind of distorted. But okay. I could, yeah.
Now, can you do it right now as you're seeing it in your mind?
Kind of like this. It's like a green, like a glowing green. That's important for some reason. Emerald or something that's green. Mm-hmm. And then these shapes, and they're going off into the distance. And this is somehow their writing.
Are they all the same?
Yeah, and they bend a little bit like that. It was like a flat sheet, but it had like cracks in it.
And what are the cracks?
That seems to be where that cuneiform shape is.
So the shapes are almost cut out or carved out in the sheet? Or are they written on it?
Formed somehow into it. There might be a little music attached to it, like a tone, like some kind of weird music.
Okay. And what is this sheet? Is it paper or some other material?
No, it's like a crystalline material. Okay. Like an emerald with a whole bunch of cracks running into it, but the cracks are black and the emerald is glowing around each one.
And you said they produce a sound, create a sound of vibration?
There's a sound associated with it. I heard it earlier before I saw this green thing. It was like when you asked them to show me something, I heard this like music tone in the background. And I thought to myself, that's not good enough. I want to see something like you're saying. And then I got shown this crystalline thing. That's what they wanted to show me, I guess.
So I'd like to ask them for more information, more clarification, something that you can take with you and use. Does this sheet show just perhaps the alphabet, or does it show a message using the writing?
It's like an example of their writing, or how they put down ideas. I don't know if it's a message to me. I don't think so. Maybe it is.
Now, what does your friend say or show you about it?
He says, if you were back with us, you'd know what this said. But I'm not, I'm human, so.
And I wonder if you can ask him to help you get a better understanding of it. Clearly, you are from a different civilization now, so there has to be a bridge made to help you understand it. So I ask him to help you clarify it, translate it into the language that you can understand.
It seems to be something about my friend. I am Kuzaman or Kuzamikan or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it's like a little bit of a biography about him.
And how are you getting that right now? Is he translating it for you?
Yeah, as best he can. I got that I am whatever, and then Nazikaman or something like that. I am a traverser of worlds or something, and then it goes on a little bit. Probably several sentences in our language.
Mm-hmm. And is it important for you to understand this writing better? Not this particular piece of writing, but to sort of begin to remember more?
I've been interested in what the alien symbols are like in the last couple months. And I think he showed me that because I have an interest in their symbols. Like, here's my business card or something like that. If you want an example. And then he translated a little bit like his business card.
Okay. And so do you find that satisfactory? Does that...
Oh, I'd like to have a whole lot more, but...
Okay.
But that's good for now.
So I wonder if you can ask him to continue to share that information with you as you go on with your life.
Yeah, I'd like to stay in contact with this fellow.
Mm-hmm. And what does he say?
Sure.
Excellent. So I wonder if you can thank him now and say your goodbyes in whatever way seems appropriate. Do you sense what is the appropriate way for him to say goodbye? Do they give you a hug?
They kind of bow a little bit with hands folded, and then a clap on the shoulders.
Okay. And so as it is time now for you to return back to your own reality, to your own life, how does he send you back?
He just kind of looks me in the eye and says, I won't be far. I'm not far away. I'm within contact. You can stay in touch.
Now before you leave, just become aware a little bit more about him. Does he live on this ship? Is his life there, or does he just travel on it, but he lives somewhere else?
He travels on this ship much like a ship captain would be, spend long periods of time on it.
Mm-hmm. But he returns somewhere to where home is.
Yeah. It's hard to describe that. It's hard for me to see that.
Okay. That's all right. Perhaps as you continue to develop your connection, he will continue to share more information about him with you. Now, it seems like you already have an established connection, but you were not consciously aware of it before.
No, I wasn't, no.
And so now you will continue to develop that conscious awareness and conscious connection. And perhaps that will contribute also to your purpose, writing about, communicating about different species and how we're all connected. And so just ask him if there's any other final message that he has for you before you leave.
He showed me something about my third eye, that I can see him through my third eye or something. Look through that portal.
Mm-hmm. Which is your pineal gland.
Yeah.
Which they have helped to activate.
Seems like, yeah.
And as you look through your third eye, is there going to be a clearer connection with you?
Yeah, it's like now the golden cube is showing up. Like that's a signal, a connection point or something.
Mm-hmm. So I'd like you now to allow yourself to just be taken from that ship and just allow the images of your friend and that encounter to fade away. As you're swept back into that golden cube, and as you find yourself back there with that being that welcomed you, you have just taken a journey throughout the lifetimes and civilizations that you have lived. And that being has probably helped you get in touch with them and get a better understanding of them. And as you return now from this journey, is there any message that this consciousness, perhaps your higher self, has for you?
I get the immediate message of don't be a stranger. Stay in touch. Keep connection with me.
And do you still have a sense that it is your higher self?
Yeah, it's a bizarre... I thought of my higher self as being something like a self. This is like way bigger than... But maybe that's really what my higher self is. It's way bigger than I could imagine.
Mm-hmm. And so is there anything else that it wants to show you or let you know at this point as we prepare to return? Especially perhaps in relation to your purpose.
I think it's saying if you can keep this timeless image, this viewpoint uppermost, that'll be good for your time on this planet. I'm not sure what he means by that. I understand what he means, but I'm not sure what the ramifications of it are.
And you can ask for clarification, for amplification of the meaning, for translation of the message, in whatever way and form you need to understand the message.
Yeah, it'll give me a better perspective on life here if I try and maintain contact with him.
Mm-hmm. And do you have a sense that it has male energy, or is it genderless?
I think it's genderless.
Mm-hmm. And so I want you at this point to ask if there is any final parting words that it has, or Any final message that wants to give you? Also express your gratitude for this connection, this meeting, and just say goodbyes, even though they're not really goodbyes. You're never really disconnected from your soul. Just this shift in consciousness that will occur. Is there any final message that he gives you?
No, other than just think about the golden cube now and then. Reconnect with it.
Mm-hmm. And with that, allow all of those images to just fade away. You will retain with you all of the memories and information that you have collected today. They will enhance your well-being. They will inform your conscious mind. And they will remind you of the connection that you have.